We are just hours away from the Iowa caucuses, the first voting in the 2024 presidential election. Republicans will brave frigid temperatures as they head to the polls tonight to pick their party's presidential nominee. Our Tony Dokoupil is on the ground for us. He is in the state capitol following all of this for us. Good morning, Tony. You spoke with GOP hopeful Ron DeSantis earlier this morning, and he talked about illegal immigration at the southern border and what he thinks needs to be done to fix the issue. Let's take a listen.
When you had people that came to Ellis Island, if they couldn't work, they didn't get in.
It's not true.
If they didn't like the, if they were going to be a burden, a public charge, that was a no-no. They did not want. They wanted people that were going to come and work and do that. If you had said you didn't believe in American values, they would not have let you in. So we've gone away from the idea of assimilation, and we need to go more towards the idea of assimilation with respect to legal immigration.
So, Tony, this idea of heading back in the direction of assimilation, is that resonating with people in Iowa?
Oh, boy, is it resonating in a huge, huge way. Immigration is the #1 thing that gets people talking here in Iowa, even more so than the economy, in my experience. And that's, on the face of it, kind of strange because we're more than 1,000 miles from the Mexico border and the border crisis down there. However, when you think about all the different areas of life that the immigration issue intersects with, you realize, okay, it's drugs. I-35 goes all the way up from Mexico. People are worried about fentanyl. The economy, people think that the job is being taken by these newcomers or low wage. They're going to drive down wages overall for people. And then there's that really big and charged question of American culture and assimilation. On one level, it is a timeless American question. There are quotes from Ben Franklin in the 1700s complaining about the swarthy Germans, that's his word, and the Swedes and the French, and how he doesn't want to be overrun by any of them. They speak a funny language and they smell like sauerkraut. So we've gone through this before as a country. Today seems to be, for reasons that you can't quite get at in a conversation with people, different in the voters' minds. They really do worry that something about the scale of the new people coming here and something about who they are makes them feel like this is just different. And so that's why I put the question to Ron DeSantis about what really is so different, because he's an Italian, he's of Italian descent, I am as well. We both happen to know our family histories. If you showed up before 1920, 98% of the people who got to Ellis Island walked off of a boat, and as long as you didn't hit your head on something, you were allowed to stay. And so what's so different really morally between those folks then, my great-grandparents, his great-grandparents, and the people now? And I think everybody wants border security. No one wants terrorists and drug dealers and bad folks coming in. But we also all have to ask ourselves, for that future great-grandparent coming over today, that's part of the American experiment. That's part of the American tradition. That's part of the new energy that makes this country ever born.
A really good perspective and a good way of putting it. Tony, I want to ask about Trump because he's overwhelmingly leading in the polls. What are the other candidates doing at this point to close that gap? Is it closable?
I mean, it's not going to be closable. I mean, what are they doing? They're wishing, they're hoping, they're praying, they're holding rallies. But it's not closable in this vote tonight. I mean, I think it would be, if Donald Trump were to somehow lose the Iowa caucus tonight, the entire polling industry would have to quit and move out of the country and never show their face again, because they say he's up by so much, and I have to say, anecdotally, just walking around and talking to people, he does have huge support here. So I think he's going to win it in Iowa. But, a strong second place showing from Haley or DeSantis changes the narrative, and then, Haley has a good shot of winning New Hampshire. That's not out of the question. And then it's kind of an open race to South Carolina, and I know Trump has some advantages there, but so does Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis would make his pitch as well. So it could be anyone's ball game at that point. So Iowa really, really does matter for that reason.
Okay, lots to follow here. Tony Dokoupil, thanks so much.